Guys, my name is Unique. Welcome to the YGR Info Corner. If you are new to this channel, then it's important that you know that the content covered on this channel deals with all things Canadian immigration. We do go over some financial literacy as well. If you feel like this content is for you, then please remember to comment, like, share, most importantly subscribe, and do not forget to hit that notification down below so you will be the first to know whenever there is a new video uploaded. If you are already an existing subscriber, welcome back, guys. So today's video, we are going to be discussing two topics. The first topic that we're going to be discussing is going to deal with those who are wanting to renew their permanent resident card. The reason why I'm going to be going over this topic today is because I've done a previous video about renewal of permanent resident cards, and I've had a lot of questions in the comment sections, and unfortunately it's a bit challenging trying to answer all of those questions. So I figured I'd just do a video answering some of those questions that you guys had. The second topic that we're also going to be discussing today is going to be the Caregiver program that Canada offers as a pathway to permanent residency. However, there are two sections to the Caregiver program, and we'll be only discussing one section of the Caregiver program, and that's specifically the Home Support Worker program. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Hi guys, welcome back. So we are just gonna jump right on in. So as I stated earlier, we are gonna be discussing the renewal of permanent resident cards. I had some questions in a previous video about the permanent resident cards and time spent off of Canadian soil. So here it is. Now, in order to be able to renew your permanent resident card, one of the main requirements that you must meet is that you must have spent 730 days on Canadian soil in the last 5 years. Okay, now some of the time spent off of Canadian soil may count towards your 730 days. However, in order for that to happen, you must be an individual that is working for a Canadian company or organization, or perhaps the Canadian government, whether that be federal, provincial, or territorial, or you must be traveling with a permanent resident or Canadian citizen who can either be your spouse, parent, and they too must meet the requirement of someone that is working for a Canadian organization or the Canadian government or Canadian company. And again, that government body can be federal, provincial, or territorial. So again, it does not mean that you necessarily need to be the individual that is working for a Canadian company, organization, or Canadian government. If you're not, it means that the person that you're accompanying, which needs to be your spouse, parent, must meet these requirements in order for the time spent off of Canadian soil to count towards your 730 days. Okay, now some other things that you need to know as it relates to submitting your application for permanent resident renewal card. You will need to ensure that you have a valid passport, well, a copy of your valid passport to go with the application, in addition to a copy of your PR card. They do not need you to send them your actual PR card. They just need a copy of that card. Also note that the processing fee for the permanent resident renewal application is $50. Now, the time processing for the application to be complete is currently 92 days. However, the processing times are subject to change. So perhaps if you're watching this video 2 or 3 months from now, you want to do due diligence and just check to ensure that the processing time has not changed. Now, the next thing that we're going to jump into is the Caregiver program that Canada offers as a pathway to permanent residency. Now, something that's important to note, the Caregiver program is made up of two different pathways to permanent residency, one being the Home Support Worker Program and the Home Child Care Provider Program. As I stated earlier, today we're only going to be focusing on the Home Support Worker pathway to permanent residency. Now, if you are an individual that's interested or you have the educational background and work experience, then this may be a good pathway for permanent residency for you. However, you must receive a job offer from a Canadian employer, and the job offer must be genuine. So you cannot just be offered a job opportunity and you know nothing or have no form of educational or work experience as a home support worker or in the home support worker field. Now, it's important to note that the NOC code that's tied to home support workers is going to be 44101. Now, when we talk about NOC, that stands for National Occupational Classification. I won't go into much detail about what that is. If you're wanting more information, then you can watch my previous video. It's about 40 minutes in length and it's very detailed. It goes into an explanation as to how one can find their NOC code in addition to the tier category that's tied with your occupation. Something that's also important to note, the NOC code under the Caregiver program again is 44101. However, there are other occupations that are tied to that specific NOC code. It simply means that if your occupation falls under that NOC code, then you will also qualify for obtaining a job opportunity or being able to apply for permanent residency. However, there are some other requirements that need to be met. So again, you will have to do an educational credential assessment, and that can be done with World Education Services, otherwise known as WES, where you get your credentials assessed from your country back home to show to an immigration officer that you do possess the educational background for this field. You will also have to show proof of possible work experience that you've had, and that can just easily be reflected in a resume as well. Further to that, you will also have to sit a English language exam, which can be the IELTS general exam or the CELPIP general exam. It's important to note that you will be tested in all 4 abilities, which will be reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and you must have a Canadian language benchmark of 5, okay, otherwise known as a CLB. So if you're not sure what your CLB mark will be, you simply add up the points earned in all 4 abilities and you divide that by 4, and then you will have the number for the overall band score. Again, the requirement is that you must pass this exam with a CLB of 5. Now, that is the requirement. If you pass your English language exam with higher than a CLB 5, then that's great. Good for you. Okay. Now, something that's also important to note, the Home Support Worker Program, it is broken down into 2 different categories. That is the gaining experience category and the direct stream to permanent residency. What this simply means is if you have not yet accumulated the work experience in Canada as a home support worker, which is 12 months. That was actually recently changed in May of this year. Prior, you would have needed 2 years of Canadian work experience as a home support worker. Again, as I stated earlier, they have recently changed that in May of this year to 1 year. Now, for the gaining work experience category, what that simply means is even if you don't have 1 full year of work experience or Canadian work experience as yet, you are still able to complete an application and submit it to IRCC. Now, what will happen is at the time that you reach your 1 year of Canadian work experience, you'll then simply notify IRCC that you've now completed 1 year of Canadian work experience for them to make a decision on your application. So, for example, you are working as a home support worker 6 months and you haven't yet met your 1 year of Canadian work experience, you are able to submit a completed application under the gaining experience category. The other category is the direct pathway to permanent residency. This means that you would have already accumulated 12 months of Canadian work experience as a home support worker within the last 3 years or 36 months. So the last thing that I'd like to discuss today is a sanitary pad initiative. So a few videos ago, I had the opportunity of having Mrs. Universe Jamaica 2022 on the platform, and she spoke about a sanitary pad initiative that she currently has going on. Now, this is actually going to be ending next month, November 31st to be exact. So if you are wanting to donate to this initiative, you will be able to do so by simply visiting the Olivia Smichael Foundation. I will leave her link in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the YGR Info Corner. I will see you guys on our next video where we will be heading into Financial Literacy Month, and we will have a few guests on the platform as well, where we will be discussing the financial landscape of Canada, especially when you're a newcomer to the country. So until then, take care, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.